Makes
So
sense.
So what caused
what
you?
the habit
What
factor
caused you to write the habit factor? I mean, why?
As I explained to Aaron, what I did, it was just bizarre. At 35-ish, I realized I hadn't achieved one goal that I really wanted to achieve, and in my mind at 18, I always said, I'm going to do this. It's called the Catalina Classic. It's a paddle from Catalina Island to Manhattan Beach. So,
on a paddleboard?
Yep.
On a
so
paddleboard.
It's just like
Wow.
paddle.
That's a lot.
And
Yeah,
have you
32
been-
32 miles. And so I kind of wake up to this awareness that I'm not 18, I'm 35, I never did it. And next thing I know, I'm looking up all the information and I sign up for the event. It was like $150, $200, and then I began to panic. There's another word for that, but we're not going to say it.
Right.
And then
How long was it between when you signed up and when your event was going to happen? How much time
it
did you have
was
to prepare?
6 months.
So you had 6 months to prepare.
And were you an accomplished paddler? At
I
this point?
did not own a paddleboard, and I'd never paddled in any race, not a mile.
So that would be the punchline to this whole story. You signed up for a 32-mile paddle, which you had never
Well, the
done.
punchline is then I had to scramble. So I'm like,
Right.
I got to buy a board.
Right.
I got to learn. My learning was tragic. Like I almost wanted to cry. Not to be too dramatic, but when I first got on a paddleboard, they're this wide.
Right.
And
Oh, they're not wide.
You're not-
I
no,
thought-
not like a surfboard.
You're not
Whoa.
talking a stand-up.
No, I'm
paddle.
talking about a paddle with your arms.
Okay, now
So-
I'm that much more impressed.
Well, so but
It's
the
like assisted
journey,
swimming.
the journey of how
Yeah.
to solve that goal
Yeah.
led me to the habit factor, and I realized I've always been setting goals and achieving goals incorrectly. The best way to achieve a goal is not from a to-do list. Okay, most people will say, set a goal, like run a marathon. I'm going to buy shoes, I'm going to call a trainer, right? I'm going to buy shorts, I'm going to sign up, and then somewhere on the list it says run.
And we're going to hold that thought because we're going to find out
Right.
what the best way to achieve a goal is. Couldn't have timed that any better, by the
Perfect.
way.
Good job.
Beautiful. Everybody needs to stay over the break for this. Martin Grunburg is with us. He is
Keep
the
him hanging.
owner and president, of Fortress Networks, author of The Habit Factor. You're listening to BisTalk. I'm Bob Ryan.
I'm Montana Smith.
And I'm Aaron Canada.
Don't you go anywhere. We'll be right back. You want to hear this.
Do pictures? Yeah. We're going to do pictures.
Could you scoot your chair that way a little bit? We're gonna.
Here's the habit factor for everybody watching.
So we can get
I didn't do my makeup.
Martin
No, we don't
Grunburg.
need to. He has filters.
Oh,
Yeah.
I don't know if you have.
Put the Vaseline on the lens.
He has filters. Just look at me adoringly.
This guy.
Wait. Okay.
Good.
Okay.
You guys got a professional operation going here.
So, since I'm not on the air, I'll ask it now. I'm assuming that you completed the race,
I did.
and your kids still weren't impressed, right?
They're not impressed at all. In fact, it's okay to ask that later because I finally took them over to Catalina
We have
in
one
a
more
helicopter 3 weeks ago. And as we're flying over, I'm like, down there, that's Daddy paddling. It took 14 minutes. They didn't even
Martin, we have
in a
one-
helicopter
we
at
have one
600
more
miles.
segment. Okay.
It's these days.
We're coming back in.
My daughter was impressed I survived my last heart attack. Had 3.
Bob, headset. Welcome back. You're listening to BisTalk, Believing is Seeing Talk Radio, where we walk the talk. And you're listening to us on ESPN 1700, but did you know you could watch us too? That's right. Watch us on Facebook. Visit our BisTalk Radio page and share your comments. Bob, always appreciates your likes. I'm Montana Smith.
I'm Aaron Canada.
I'm Bob Ryan. Glad to have you with us. Martin Grunburg is with us. He is owner and president of Fortress Networks, author of The Habit Factor. Again, thanks, Martin, for coming in.
My pleasure.
We're talking about, we only have one segment left, and
Okay.
there's so much left to talk about. I'm sure you have a lot of information. about what allows you to achieve goals. And you made a really interesting comment that people don't achieve goals by setting, creating lists of things to do. And you were talking about
there's a best practice known, and it's taught by management consultants, and they run around the country and they teach businesses, and it's called SMART goals. Personal development coaches do it, but that is an acronym, as you know, for specific, measurable, attainable, or achievable, relevant, and time-bound. Right. All good criteria, all very important. But once you go through that, Bob, you're left with a to-do list. Okay, so I know it's specific, measurable, attainable. Now what do I do? So, and then, as I was saying, you could go through your to-do list. Somewhere on that marathon it says run. What's going to be the difference as to whether you achieve your goal is not whether you called the trainer, probably. It's that one behavior, which we call a core recurring behavior or a habit, that if you do that, and that was part of the process or methodology to achieve this paddling goal. So what I mean by that is, when I started, it was 3 times a week. Rather than a to-do list, I was just like, I have to paddle. Well, I've never paddled. 3 times a week for 20 minutes, and I would track it.
Do you wax paddle boards?
Huh?
Do you wax paddle boards?
No.
So what do? You clean them? Do you do any maintenance to them, or are they just
almost no maintenance?
Almost no maintenance.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking about a habit that you could create that wouldn't have gotten you to the paddling, but would have been a habit, like going down to the beach every day and looking at the water. That could be a habit, but it's not going to get you.
Yeah,
I want to focus on the core idea, the idea that it's
and that
core.
is the core. It's called habit alignment technology.
That's really good. I like that.
Habit alignment technology. What you do is you reverse engineer the goal.
H-A-T. Habit alignment.
And you look backwards and you say, what are the core behaviors, core habits? Mm-hmm. If I achieve this goal, I'd never written a book. I never wanted to write a book. But when I decided, because of this, because it had worked for me, then I did something called an Ironman triathlon, and then I did another one, and then I shared it with a group of entrepreneurs, and they started hitting their goals, and then they're like, you should turn this into an app.
Did you know in the process of training for this thing that you were developing habits or a system that would
No, I was writing a book as a kind of a philosophical piece, and I kept saying, how am I going to make this practical? How am I going to make this practical? And I almost drove off the road because I realized in the background I had this tracking sheet, and I was tracking core related behaviors, habits to achieve this goal, and then I just saw how they just meshed together.
Did you come up with this idea from somebody else, or was this
is brand new? Totally.
So seriously,
totally
this is no joke. Seriously, I have interviewed a lot of people. I've done 10,000 interviews, right?
No, not only is it brand new, if you just go research it, you'll see it was the first Habits and Goals app. It was the first app where you can set a goal, align a habit, and track habits. Today, there's about 100 habit trackers in the App Store world.
But I've never heard this concept explained the way you just did.
Correct.
And it is really good.
It's
a
revolutionary.
Shift. It really is a paradigm shift.
I hate to use all those
but
fancy,
it is. It really is. I mean, when you were just talking about it, and I've heard a lot and read hundreds and hundreds of books. You're really smart.
So our listeners
but you are. No, it's not. But you are. You figured it out. You put it together and you created it in a way that we can
understand. What I started to do
it.
was link.
Yeah.
As I started researching habit as a force, the first problem we have is we look at habit as a negative, meaning as a language.
Bad habits, right?
Drugs, smoking, drinking. So how can you associate achieving a goal when habit isn't even in the conversation, because you don't correlate habit to good. So that's the first problem. But then I started doing research, and you see guys like